Kutiala brings over a decade of tech and marketing experience with a focus on online advertising and social media, and has significant experience in the community management initiatives across various social networks. RT has also worked for the United States Chamber of Commerce and the San Francisco Global Trade Council. She co-authored the book Regional Wealth Creation in the Innovation Economy, where she interviewed senior government and leading industry executives on success factors for creating wealth in the innovation economy. RT is accelerating the adoption and use of GIS planning's technology into the economic development, site selection, and business industries. RT has an MBA from San Francisco State University and is a passionate social media and end-user advocate, loves to travel internationally, and speaks multiple languages fluently. Ms. Kutiala will be talking about email marketing best practices.
Now I'm going to talk about the 12 best email strategies for economic development marketing. I'm going to start with talking about email deliverability and some basics on how to avoid getting your email in the spam folder. And then we'll jump into the 12 email marketing best practices for economic development. So email deliverability is influenced by a number of factors, many of which are very technical. Even experts are continuously debating the art of email deliverability. The main issue is that spammers are constantly trying to beat the system, and email providers are always trying to stay a step ahead. So the technicalities will always keep evolving, but the important thing to keep in mind is that your job as an economic development marketer is to get your email delivered into your readers' inboxes. So very basically, in order for an email to get to your readers, it has to pass through several gates. The purpose of each gate is to evaluate whether your email is legitimate or not, and any of those gates can stop that email from reaching your readers' inboxes. So for example, the first gate is that of the internet service providers, and the key to getting through this gate is completely dependent on the reputation of your sending IP address. What you need to know is that this is influenced by three main factors. Are people complaining about your email? Do you hit spam trap addresses? And do you have high unknown user rates? And I'll talk a little bit more about what these are and how to avoid these. Now, gate number 2 is the corporate domain. A corporate domain is basically a domain belonging to any organization, for example, like GIS planning. Emails that go to Yahoo or Hotmail addresses wouldn't have to deal with this gate, but really almost every company will have its own domain. These companies have system administrators who use blacklists to keep spam out of their networks, so it's very important to stay off of these blacklists. The final gate is a spam filter. Even if your IP address has a good reputation with internet service providers and your readers haven't been complaining about your emails, your mail can still get stuck in spam filters based on the kind of content you have and a number of other things. And so I'll talk about those next. There are 5 main things that you want to avoid. First, you want to avoid getting any complaints about your email. Complaints can come in through, the report spam button at an ISP. It can come through a blacklist or directly through the abuse desk of your own email service provider, for example, with vertical response. You really want to minimize any potential for complaints, as a complaint rate as low as 1% or even lower can negatively impact your delivery. And we'll talk about how to, reduce those, but I want you to understand that in order to get through these gates, it's important that your users are not complaining about your email, not reporting your emails as either spam or irrelevant. The second thing to avoid is hitting spam trap addresses. Spam traps are addresses that are often deliberately placed on websites to tempt spammers to harvest them, so that the ISPs can easily identify spammers. They're basically little landmines. Why this matters to you is that if you use purchased or rented mailing lists, they often contain traps. The third thing that you want to avoid is high unknown user rates. If you have a lot of bad addresses on your list, this is a red flag to an ISP. If you regularly see bounce rates of 10% or higher, then you're in danger of not even getting your good addresses delivered, because ISPs will automatically block either your email or your domain. And so it's very important to minimize high unknown user rates, either bad addresses or high bounce rates. And I mentioned blacklists earlier. A blacklist is essentially a database of IP addresses or domains that are known to send spam. You never ever want to be on a blacklist. There are hundreds of publicly available blacklists, and every blacklist provider has their own methodology for deciding which IP address or domain should be listed. And to make matters even more complicated, companies use their own private blacklists that are private and that are only used for their own domains, so for their own companies. But the thing, again, that you need to keep in mind is that the main way to stay off of blacklists is to never get any complaints. And finally, you want to avoid spam triggers. Email service providers have their own spam filters, and individual companies usually use an outside filter, for example, like Postini or Spam Assassin. Each of these filters, again, have their own methodology for determining what is spam, and that keeps evolving. But the thing here, again, is the key thing here is your content, your email content. So, for example, very common things that look like spam is when emails contain all caps, or they have lots of punctuations, or words like free loans just for you, or open this right now. These are the kind of words that trigger spam filters, and they basically end up directing your mail into a spam junk folder. And you want to avoid words like that, so you want to keep track of stuff like that. So the good news is that because it's something that you can control in your email content, you have some control over whether you are able to get past these spam triggers. So now I'm going to jump into the 12 email marketing best practices for economic development and walk through a little bit of some examples of great email marketing practices. So the very first and the top best practice is to send email only to people who have given you the permission to email them. If there's anything that you take away from here and from my presentation on email marketing, it's this. This is the golden rule of email marketing. The best way to not to get complaints is to make sure that you're giving people specifically what they requested and only contacting them if they've given you permission to do that. It's much better to start with a small list of people interested in your email communication than a large list that brings your reputation down and impacts all of your deliverability. The next best practice for email marketing is to continue to build your email list. And there's a variety of ways that you can do that. You can link to opt-in forms on your website or your blog or your social media channels so that users have every opportunity to sign up. There are many email providers that provide this offer for free. They give you free email opt-in forms that you can integrate into your website or your blog and other places. You can also collect emails at local events. For example, you can provide a fishbowl with maybe an incentive to put their card. Either it could be a raffle or it could be some even online thing that you're giving away, for example, a free guide to the city, but something that gives users something back for signing up for your newsletter. You can also partner with organizations like the chamber or the city and cross-promote each other's newsletters. So you could add your opt-in form on their website, or you could add it in their email newsletter and basically share the opportunity to get the word out about each partner organization. This is a great example by an email marketing firm called HubSpot, where you can see here they have their subscribe via email opt-in form. Very easy, very simple, and very prominent on their website. Here's another example by SC Power Team. They're a client of ours, and here they have a full form where the website visitors can add their information and sign up for the newsletter. The third best practice is to clean up your email list. It's very important to make sure that everyone on your mailing list has specifically requested information from you or about your company. But in addition to that, it's also very important that you're not mailing previously unsubscribed or bounced addresses. As I had talked earlier, this will only hurt you as that will lower your reputation with ISPs and other gates that can potentially hold back your email. And then make sure to make it very easy for your audience to unsubscribe. This is probably the most important way to reduce the number of complaints that you can get, because a lot of times if it's very difficult for a user to unsubscribe, then they are going to get irritated and be much more likely to complain against you or hit block, and that will affect all of your email communications, not only with that user but also with other readers in the future. Another important email marketing strategy is to optimize your email with social media. As you can see from our GIS Planning newsletter, we have prominent buttons across our newsletter for our readers to either fan or what's now called like us on Facebook, and to follow us on Twitter, as well as to join us on our economic development group on LinkedIn. This is a great way to make sure that people know how to reach you across different channels. Another way to optimize your email with social media is that you can also post a version of your email to different social media accounts. There are email service providers that have this option for free, where you can automatically, once you've launched your email, you can automatically post it to Facebook as well as on Twitter. Here's another example, a really great example by Grow Nebraska's newsletter. They not only have their social media buttons at the top here, but they have very prominent call to actions at the top of their newsletter, which is essentially above the fold, and a great way to make sure that every time a reader sees that newsletter, they can automatically access all of these call to actions. Providing relevant content for your readers, it gets to the core of why they have signed up for your newsletter in the first place. So in order to figure out how to deliver the most value to your readers, you need to think about the language of your campaign and really what kind of content is it that they care about and that they will read and respond to. And how will this build your relationship with your audience? This is a great example by our client, SE Power, where what they've done is, even before launching their GIS planning website in 2010, they sent out a newsletter in the beginning of 2010 telling their readers about this upcoming tool that will be provided for the community, and giving them a heads up and engaging them so that when the website is launched, it's something that they're familiar with and that they already know something about. To give you another example, in our newsletter, we provide a monthly marketing tip geared towards the latest in economic development marketing, and particularly social media, because we've asked our users what it is that they care to learn about. And so what we try to do is provide tips and ideas that are targeted towards the kind of interest that they've told us that they have. You should also strive for a good mix of text and images. The general rule is to do, only about 20% of your email as images. This is not a hard and fast rule, but over 50% of spam is image only, so they have no text in it, and that's one of the reasons that we decided to stay a little bit on the safe side and use pictures only to accentuate our content. One of the most important tenets of email marketing is to write a killer subject line. Keep in mind that the main goal of your subject line is to get people to open and click on the rest of your email. It's important to keep it as short as possible and to focus on the value from the point of view of your audience. What is it that they will be interested in reading about, and what is it that will make them open your email? For example, in this email subject line from Economic Development Online, it's very short and to the point, and it tells the reader exactly what it is that they will get once they open this email, which is the top 10 cities for startups. Likewise, you can also take advantage of the from label. The from label can quickly identify who the mail is from, and it's a great way to leverage your brand because the more people get to know that you have good content and they know that you know, Economic Development Online, for example, provides great subject lines and great newsletters, the more they're likely to continue to open that email and to continue to read that. The other advantage is that by putting the name of your organization in the from label, you can also maximize the space in the subject line because then you don't have to say who that email is from in the subject line. But the important thing is to keep it consistent so that people are not surprised or confused by who this email is coming from. One of the best ways to continue to build value for your readers is simply to have an ongoing two-way communication with them. For example, even if it's an email newsletter where you're, providing the content, you can provide links to short surveys asking them the kind of content that they want to see, how often they want to receive your emails, or any other thing that you think will help shape your email newsletter into something that's more and more relevant for your readers. This is another great way to reduce complaints and stay relevant to your readers' interests. If you have varying kinds of subscribers to your email newsletter, another great strategy is to segment these readers to provide them with a little bit specialized content. You can do this by comparing users who, for example, open your email and click on your links in your email versus other readers who maybe open it and don't click on the different links. And you can try to experiment with different things to see what improves those click-through rates. You can also segment by different interests or demographics. For example, maybe business versus consumer readers. They might have different interests, and you can provide them with relevant content based on the interests that they've articulated, perhaps directly through your polls or surveys. And then finally, I think the most important best practice for email marketing is to continue to test, and to iterate upon what you're finding. One of the best examples is you can split your email list into half and try, different subject lines or maybe a different length of the email, or send the exact same email at different times of the day and see what is most effective. And then, of course, the key is to track results and to build off of what you find. If you find that a certain time of day is producing better open and click rates, then definitely you can use those findings to improve those click rates. You should also test each email before it goes out. What we do is we regularly, send out test emails to ourselves across different email clients and see how they're rendering so that we can see whether they look exactly the way that we want them to. So to sum it up, if there's any kind of golden rule in email marketing, it is to send email only to people who have given you the permission to do so. This is very important in terms of deliverability of your emails, not only to people who may not be happy with the emails that you're sending them, but also to the people who have actually subscribed and actually want your content, but may not be able to get that because of the bounce rates or complaints that you may get if you send people emails without their permission. That's the golden rule of email marketing. As I'd mentioned, it's also important to continue to build your email list organically and to keep cleaning that up along the way. It is almost counterintuitive to remove email addresses from your email list, but it is very important for the health of your email deliverability. Make it easy for people to unsubscribe to minimize any complaints, and then optimize your email with various different social media channels. Also, keep in mind that the core focus of your email newsletter is to provide relevant content to your readers so that they continue to receive your emails and continue to look forward to the emails that you're sending. It's important to have a killer subject line that's short and sweet and gets to the point of what they will get out of this email. You should leverage the from label so that you can maximize the subject line, and also to really leverage your brand equity in the minds of your readers. Make sure to keep a good mix of text and images and not over to the images, because a lot of spam is image only emails. And then make sure to be interactive with your email marketing. Ask your readers on a regular basis how you're doing, what kind of content you're providing, and what they'd like to see from you. And then try to experiment and test with your email marketing, where you segment your readers either based on different demographics or different kind of behavior, whether they're opening or clicking on your emails, and see what you can learn from that, and then iterate upon it and learn from it and implement that. If you follow these best practices in email marketing, you will not only make sure that your emails actually get to your readers' inboxes, but more importantly, you will be able to build a long-term relationship with your readers where they actually count on you for great content. And with that, I'd like to conclude this presentation on the 12 email marketing best practices for economic development. Here's my contact information. As Natalia had mentioned, you can contact either of us through any of our social media channels. You also have access to my email and phone number. If you have any questions about email marketing, please don't hesitate to get in touch.
RT, thanks. That was great information about email and email campaigns. So now what we're going to do is take some questions from the audience. If you look in the right-hand corner of your webinar screen, there's a place that you can enter questions.
All right, and the next question is, does my email marketing campaign have to have the same look and feel as my website? This is a very good question. I think that it is very important to build off of your brand and provide your audience with an experience that they're familiar with. If you already have a great brand, this will leverage that brand so that your audience will be more inclined to read your mail. And if you're just starting out, consistency in branding is a very important way to establish that brand. So I think, yes, it's important to have the same look and feel. Okay, so the next question here is, what else can I do to get past spam filters? You know, the real short answer is that you need to not be spammy. I mean, we all recognize spam when we see it. And, you know, there's lots of online research about the kind of terms and words that create red flags, and I talked about a few of them, but this will continue to evolve. I think the most important thing is to stay relevant to your audience and pay attention to what it is that makes you click on an email and what it is that makes you delete emails without even reading them. The other thing that you can do is you can ask your readers to essentially whitelist you by adding your domain name to their safe sender list. This is something that you could do, you know, either in a welcome email or throughout your newsletter over the course of your newsletters. The next question that I'm seeing on email marketing is, what email marketing service do you recommend? There are a variety of different email service providers, and you can evaluate them online to see how they best fit your needs. GIS Planning, we use Vertical Response because we like their reputation, and they provide a lot of learning guides and online forums, and I think even more importantly, they're very quick to evolve towards emerging trends like social media and such. Plus, they're a local company, so that's definitely a selling point.